Hi folks. I recently finished Before Mars by Emma Newman and I've read the other three during the last year or so I felt that it was a good time therefore to just take some time to reflect on the series as a whole and to share that with you. So this loosely connected series of 4 novels consists of Planetfall, After Atlas, Before Mars and Atlas Alone. While scientifically plausible, or at least within the realms of potentially plausible in the future, and whilst there is some cool technology on display in these books in the form of brain chips, visual overlays, artificial intelligence, 3D printing of almost anything, these books are not focused on the science or the technology. It doesn't really interest Emma Newman, although she's as big a science fiction fan as any of us. Instead, they are each character-led, exploring the impact of events, past experiences, oppressive corporate control and pervasive technology, whatever it is, on the individuals, and that impact is often psychological in nature in these books. Each of the books has a different, strong point of view character, and we spend most of the time in their heads. The stories in each book are loosely connected in various ways, whether by character or events or both, but Newman has written them in such a way that each can be read alone and in any order. For example, I read the third book fourth, not realising it was the third. It didn't make any difference. Each book explores a different setting. In Planetfall, we're in a somewhat established colony on a distant planet, dealing with a clash of religious fervour and scientific rigour, with a founding secret that could destroy the colony if revealed. In the second book, After Atlas, we're back on Earth, where democracy is a thing of the past and corporations run entire countries, and we follow an indentured detective as he tries to solve a locked room murder mystery. And with book 3, Before Mars, we're on Mars, funnily enough, in a scientific research station, and our main character has just arrived. Or has she? It's a taut psychological thriller. And finally, with Atlas Alone, we're on a huge spaceship, and this one is a tale of cyberpunk revenge with a twist at the end. I think Newman has done a great job of putting together these novels. They are of a piece, bearing a strong family resemblance, if you will, but as you'll see, each is quite different in tone and the basic premise of the story. One thing that I think that they do have in common is Newman's writing, her prose style, which I found to be excellent, really engaging without being fussy. Why don't we take a look at each book in turn, starting with 2015's Planetfall. Planetfall is set in a not too distant future where a small group of 1,000 believers has ventured beyond Earth's bounds in search of God and a new beginning. Renata Gali, or Ren, finds her life intertwined with the enigmatic Sumi, the Pathfinder, after a chance encounter in Paris. Their bond deepens as they embark on a daring expedition on the spaceship Atlas to a distant planet, driven by Sumi's conviction of a divine calling. She believes that she knows where to find God, having had a revelation. As the colony establishes itself on this alien world, tensions simmer beneath the surface. The colony is founded on a lie, the nature of which is slowly revealed as the story progresses. We follow Ren, who is a solitary creature. She's the colony's 3D printer engineer. And sure, she retrieves the odd, interesting item that someone has put in the printer's recycling hopper. But there's nothing wrong with that, is there? It's been discarded after all? Well, maybe. The colony's routine and Ren's carefully maintained mental balance is upset with the appearance of a mystery person at the colony, Sung Soo, a descendant of a group that was believed to have died on crash landing hundreds of miles away. His very existence brings into question the truth, the veracity of the story told in the colony at that time by Ren and by Mac, her co-conspirator. Caught between her loyalty to the colony and the weight of buried truths, Ren grapples with her own sanity and the implications of her actions. As the colony faces internal strife and external threats, Ren's journey takes her to the heart of God City, the alien construction near the colony, into which Sumi, the Pathfinder, disappeared soon after the colonists arrive, communing with God. Or is she? I found Planetfall to be a riveting exploration of human nature, of faith, of mental illness, and the consequences of obsession. Newman's world building is intricate, and Ren is a carefully drawn character, a poignant but potentially unreliable narrator. The secrets that Ren has carried for many years, which go to the heart of the founding myths of the colony, have the potential to shake the very foundations of the colony. The pressure of carrying those secrets also have the potential to destroy Ren. Newman's portrayal of a serious mental illness and the collapse of Ren's carefully built barriers is a real gut-wrench, the tension ratcheting up as the book progresses. I really enjoyed it. After Atlas, the second book, was published a year later in 2016 and unfolds in a dystopian future where Earth reels under the grip of corporate governance and technological subjugation. Democracy is a thing of the past. 40 years after the departure of the enigmatic Sumi and her followers on the Atlas spaceship, we get to take a look at what and who they left behind. Carlos Moreno, an indentured investigator for the European Ministry of Justice, finds himself entangled in a web of deceit and intrigue surrounding the death of Alejandro Casales, a former leader of the Circle cult. Just by the way, I really love the concept of modern slavery here. I mean, I don't love slavery or anything, but I do love the way that Newman has envisaged it here. Carlos, you see, is not an employee. He is a company asset, a tool. In theory, he can work out his bondage and gain his freedom decades in the future, but in practice, everyday challenges such as buying food just add to his debt, and the finish line just gets further and further away. I thought Newman really brought that concept to life. Anyway, back to the story. Haunted by his turbulent past as a child in the same Circle cult, Carlos's investigation into Alejandro's apparent suicide unearths a labyrinth of secrets, manipulation and betrayal. As he peels back the layers of deception, Carlos confronts the ghosts of his own childhood and the spectre of his mother's abandonment of him to join the ill-fated Atlas mission. As with Planetfall, there is some cool technology. Carlos has access to a virtual reality suite which allows him to reconstruct events based on all the available evidence and to kind of walk through it, rotating the ultra-realistic footage to gain insights. Despite the advanced tech, After Atlas is in some ways an old-fashioned locked room mystery. There's been a death, a suicide, or perhaps a murder, but the door to the victim's fancy hotel room was locked from the inside. There's an array of possible suspects and concealed motivations. I think it's a book that Agatha Christie fans might enjoy. But spoiler, the butler did not do it, and nor was it Colonel Mustard in the library with the lead pipe. Driven by a relentless pursuit of truth, Carlos discovers Alejandro's ultimate sacrifice and the sinister machinations of powerful forces vying for control. Amidst the backdrop of society teetering on the brink of collapse, Carlos grapples with questions of identity, loyalty, and the price of freedom. And as he navigates the treacherous terrain of corporate power struggles and cult fanaticism, Carlos uncovers shocking revelations about the Circle cult's true purpose. After Atlas is another strong novel, very different to Planetfall, but similarly tautly plotted, with a focus on their characters and their personal battles to survive, to live worthwhile lives in a challenging corporate dystopia. Have you read any of these Emma Newman books? What did you think? Do let me know in the comments, I'll be interested to hear. Before Mars brings yet another shift of focus and premise. This time we're on Mars in a scientific outpost where reality blurs and paranoia thrives. We get mystery, psychological depth and social critique, and another intriguing point of view character in Dr. Anna Kubrin. After months of solitary travel from Earth, Dr. Kubrin finds herself grappling with a series of uncertainties upon her arrival on Mars, plagued by haunting visions and a cryptic warning message from herself that she has no recollection of writing. Anna questions the very fabric of her existence as she navigates a world where truth is elusive and perceptions are easily manipulated. Her mental well-being is called into question by herself and by the base psychologist, but all is not as it seems, and the psychologist herself seems to be falling apart as the book progresses. Paranoia amongst the small scientific team is pervasive, and in her duties as geologist and official artist for the expedition, Anna finds clue after clue that the science team is being duped, but by who or by what and for what purpose? Newman deftly explores themes of identity, memory, and the fragile nature of sanity itself through Anna's introspective journey. Anna is forced to confront her own past traumas and the unsettling truths hidden within the Martian landscape. She really has to question her own sanity. Anna's poignant first-person perspective creates a real sense of claustrophobia and emotional intensity that really resonated with me. Newman's meticulous attention to detail and her authentic character development really breathe life into Anna's complex psyche, drawing us into a gripping tale of self-discovery and redemption. Against the backdrop of corporate governance and societal oppression, Before Mars really digs into the intricate dynamics of human relationships and the enduring power of love amidst adversity. Through Anna's lens, Newman navigates themes of marriage, motherhood, companionship, and an existential quest for meaning in a world fraught with uncertainty. As the mysteries of the Martian outpost unravel during the story, Anna's journey culminates in a gripping climax that challenges perception and leaves us questioning the nature of reality itself. What do we perceive and how? What manipulations are inherent in those perceptions? Are those external or internal? And what do we choose to believe? I thought that Newman didn't quite stick the landing with Before Mars. I felt like the ending was a little bit abrupt, and I could have done without the epilogue, which felt a little bit like a kind of a sop for us as readers to soften the blow a little bit. I thought a bit too much time was spent on Anna's maternal instincts, or lack of. From reading a little bit around the subject, I understand that Emma Newman wanted to explore that in depth, what society expects of a new mother, how they're supposed to feel, and the confusion and inadequacies felt by those that don't comply with those expectations. That was interesting, but maybe got in the way a little of the main story for me. Still, I enjoyed it. Still, I enjoyed Before Mars, but perhaps it's a little bit less strong than Planetfall and After Atlas. On to book 4 then. The final book in this quartet, Atlas Alone, is a gripping tale of betrayal, redemption, and the murky depths of human nature, set against the backdrop of a journey through the cosmos. 6 months after the cataclysmic final events of After Atlas, 3 characters from that story, Dee, alongside her companions Carl and Travis, navigate life aboard Atlas II, a spaceship trailing in the path of its namesake predecessor. Haunted by the clandestine destruction of Earth, Dee is consumed by a fervent desire for vengeance, convinced that someone aboard Atlas II orchestrated the planet's destruction. And by the way, that does sound like an impressive spoiler, but in fact it's on the back of the blurb of the book, so really I'm not giving anything away. In her relentless quest for justice, Dee stumbles upon an opportunity to delve into a new kind of immersive gaming experience offered by an anonymous designer on board the ship. However, what begins as a chance for distraction swiftly spirals into a nightmare when Dee finds herself ensnared in a game so realistic that it blurs the lines between reality and simulation. Shockingly, Dee discovers that actions within the game have dire consequences in the real world, thrusting her into a perilous race against time to uncover the truth. As Dee grapples with the repercussions of her actions and confronts the shadows of her past, alliances shift and betrayals abound. With Carl by her side, but not necessarily wholly supportive, Dee navigates a treacherous landscape of deceit and intrigue where nothing is as it seems. Who is really in charge of the ship, and what are their intentions, and is that in the best interests of humanity? Newman weaves together layers of mystery, suspense, and psychological tension, inviting us on a riveting journey. As the fate of what remains of humanity hangs in the balance, Dee must confront her inner demons and make impossible choices that will determine the course of our future, whilst potentially sacrificing what remains of her own humanity in the process. Atlas Alone is a really interesting exploration of resilience, identity, and the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming adversity. Newman's deft storytelling and complex character dynamics ensure an interesting and captivating read from start to finish. Once again, I enjoyed this book too, but I did feel it didn't quite achieve the heights of some in the series. And if you forced me to rank them, I'd put both Planetfall and After Atlas at maybe an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10, and Before Mars and Atlas Alone together on a solid 7 out of 10. Overall, if you haven't read them, then I think I really recommend all 4 as a group, and I hope that we hear more from Emma Newman soon. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye for now.